And I don't think that people are enough, there's not enough awareness for this, that anyone can go and do whatever they want, even mining, you know. What do you think about that, James?
You're right.
Is the state what is the state of the debate in the UK, for example, where you're more familiar, if this is a debate?
I think there's a lot of concern around deep sea mining, quite rightly, and clearly it's being discussed a lot here. But I think policing the global commons is a huge challenge.
Global commons. Is that the name that
the
people
global
are
commons,
using?
So, or the high seas, you know. But you can't protect it if you can't police it, I don't think. So there are some amazing initiatives like the satellites which can identify ships operating illegally, that sort of thing. It's very hard to sort it out, and of course.
But they did for whales, right? I'm asking as the normal
well,
citizen.
Then it comes back to public opinion, and you know, I'd like to think that that's, you know, when it comes to shifting moods in public opinion, that's perhaps where filmmaking can help a little bit.
Where you can help.
You know, we've all got to work out ways of working together to solve these really massive problems.
What do you think?
You have to trace the fish. You have to buy the only fish who are sustainable fisheries.
Of course.
And that is the way some ONGs like Oceana are working on. Oceana work in the north of Brazil with a program of sustainable tuna fishing.
Right.
All the fish is kind of sustainable fishery. All the fishes have a number and
right. They're not ringed because that's for birds, but they are numbered with a
number.
They're marked.
A plastic number.
They're marked.
And they are putting in the open source internet in blockchain.
Oh, I see.
And
I know them.
You can see the boat. You can see if they are the boat pay the fishermen, if everything is 100% all right with the boat, and that is the sustainable fishery.
Right. Wonderful. No, but it's hardly. There could be hardly something more difficult than this. I totally forgot, Christina. Where are you? My guide. I totally forgot that I wanted to engage you, audience. Okay, so do you have questions for you? Can you, of course. Is there if not, then you can use, is there a microphone there? Raise your, raise yourself, it's better, to project the voice and speak loudly. And identify yourself, please.
Essa aqui.
O cubo é o microfone.
Posso jogar para ela?
Mas que bizarro isso. Wow! How modern! How modern!
Does this work? No.
It doesn't work.
Hello?
Good.
It has.
Well, it's brilliant. I love that.
Hi, my name
is... Exactly.
Yeah, my name is Anna Hermsen. I'm from the Netherlands, TNO, Research and Technology Organization, and European Commission, Strategic Advisory Board, Destination Earth Initiative. We are looking for ways to not only create awareness, but actually engage and empower the general public through film and gaming technology. How do you see that is going to be possible, and to connect the people to scientific data, for example? So the connection between digital twinning, I'm talking about gaming technology, and major impact movies like yours.
Very good question. James, would you like to start?
Ultimately, I think it comes down to telling good stories and engaging people on an emotional level so that they want to get involved. And never underestimate the power of good storytelling. Stories can change the world. They can get things done. So I would say that would be a vehicle. Can storytelling lead to direct action? I've seen it. I've experienced it. So I would say yes, it can. Does it always? No. So we have to find new ways, and we have to give people hope and belief in the power of individuals and in the power of personal actions to make a difference. So that's the empowerment part, is demonstrating to people that if they do get engaged, that it is going to lead towards meaningful change. But I believe there's ways of doing that, and we just have to be very clever. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to people feeling that they want to do that, and that's where the emotional engagement is so important, I believe.
And that they can, the empower thing, right? That they can make a change, right?
Yeah, we can all make a change in many ways, and we need people to believe that more. You know, even the power of voting.
Absolutely.
Well,
is
people,
important.
I think,
For
what
example,
I
in
hear-
Brazil next September,
but
Brazilians
people
who
feel
are senior.
overpowered, right? They feel that they don't have any power to take an action, and I think there might be a possibility in interactive movies and you know, the games that sort of like can engage and interact with the environment by planting trees in the game, which is immediately associated to real trees, for example. And there's also an opportunity maybe in BBC documentaries to become interactive. Do you see any possibilities there?
Yeah, you can have non-linear forms of storytelling where you have multiple outcomes depending on choices viewers make. Netflix has that platform built into its sort of capability, so that is possible.
That exists already?
Yeah, the technology exists for non-linear television. And gamifying to get rewards, emotional rewards for users is can be very effective. So yeah, the technologies are there. I believe it can happen. I think people have to have hope. And the problem with negative storytelling around the environment and for just being a doomer is that
apocalypse.
Our human nature then is to slightly switch off, to put our heads in the sand, and we don't want that to happen. So we have to share stories of hope and change. And the wonderful thing about nature is that it is, and you see it in the oceans all the time, it's incredibly resilient if you just take the pressure off, if you just give nature a chance.
Yeah.
And where on land rewilding is happening, it's astonishing people how quickly things are changing and how much better it can be.
Right.
So this is not beyond our grasp. It is actionable. It is possible. But we have to act now.
Yeah. We actually saw it during the pandemic, right? Remember? When the skies became clearer and we could see things that we never saw, and it was just because everyone was home, you know. But it also created this, there was this movement against plastic, right? Remember, everyone, there was this campaign, global, everyone on the street, you know. September 2019, I remember, but then there was the pandemic, the masks everywhere. You walk in Lisbon, I mean, everywhere. So there was I'm sure there was a decline in the plastic problem, in the sense of, there was somebody there. Now I think you throw the cube, you know, amazing. I want that for my museum.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, hi, I'm Brenda. I'm from Kenya, but I live in Sweden. So I feel so honored to be here today. And actually my relationship with filmmaking, I work at Stockholm Environment Institute. So we produce a lot of research. And my role there is I'm a communications officer. So
Wow.
I tell stories, basically. I try to communicate our research through storytelling. And it's quite a challenge to try to get scientists to not use scientific jargon and to really tell a story and make it interesting and have people listen. So my relationship with filmmaking, my inspiration rather with filmmaking, started when we did a film at the Baltic Sea. I worked with some Swedish filmmakers. So we were telling a story about reducing emissions in the Baltic. And that really inspired me to want to get into filmmaking. And when I look at the two of you on stage, I feel so inspired. So my question to you is, what advice do you have for an aspiring filmmaker who's starting out? And I mean, someone who probably doesn't have the resilience to film something for 14 years. I find that so incredible. But what advice would you have for someone like me? Thanks.
That's a brilliant question, Brenda, because myself, I also want to start doing, because they're so motivating. No, I was joking, but only half, because we work at the museum, and at the museum we often have that problem that you were talking about, of having scientists who find it really, really difficult to engage with larger audiences because they keep talking in jargon and so on, and it's very difficult. And so, James first, and then Ricardo. Advice.
Brenda, your phone makes you a filmmaker nowadays. It's the wonderful thing about technology now. If we have cameras on phones, and you can have your own YouTube channel, you can communicate. And that is, I think, such an empowering thing. And we're seeing films being made by people all over the world on their phones that can make a difference. And that's the I think it's a great thing about social media. We all have the capacity to get messages out there. I think what would be my word of advice to you is don't tell boring stories.
Yeah.
We need to
but
entertain
you already know
people.
that because you come from communication, so I think
yeah.
she already knows.
But I think it's it's quite easy to make a factual documentary that's it's very worthy, very worthwhile, but it doesn't capture the hearts and minds and the imagination of people.
Very journalistic, is that what you're saying?
But it can be journalistic. There's lots of different ways of being entertaining, but I would say that I think it's important because we all need to reach as many people as possible in whatever ways we can. And it doesn't matter if you've got a big broadcaster at your back or if you're acting alone, you can still get your message out there. And the photo of Nina picking up the bag underwater,
Yes.
tens of millions of people have seen that probably around the world. So, it's totally possible to get messages out there. I think, and I think to help make people laugh or smile or connect is a great entry point, because once you've won them over and got them on side, it's easier to tell them the tougher stories. So I think it's about, as you know, because you are in communications, it's sophisticated storytelling, I think.
And empathy. I think it's about generating empathy, really.
Yeah.
From my experience in working in a museum, it's about, the connection is very much about feeling, sympathy, empathy, what the other person is feeling, or the other animal, or whatever. It's about that. Ricardo, what is your advice for a young filmmaker?
But I think you have to find your purpose of life and follow this way, because if you can't, you have to do. Your dreams don't belong more to you. If you are here, you pay your ticket to fly to come here. If you have your camera, you have to do it. You have to do it. Thinking about only in Brazil, in the last year, we put 15 million of people in misery, only in Brazil, in the last year. Those people can dream, those people can have a purpose of life. We live in a time of, you have to emergently found a purpose of life and put all your heart, your energy on that, and believe the life is gonna open for you don't be afraid, and believe you can found some people you for very important for you. You're gonna cruise your way, and you're gonna keep in and keep in. You're gonna insist, and you're gonna make it.
Persevere.
Thank you.
Find your purpose and tell good stories. I think you couldn't have more, inspiring answers. Any other question? We are about to finish our debate, which is already long, right? We're closing now. Well then, final thoughts, final remarks, turn to action maybe. So if you had, what can we, anyone that's listening, 2 or 3 things they can do right now? Oceans, or it doesn't have to be oceans? From your experience.
Well, obviously, one is we can all manage our own waste.
Yeah.
And you're right. The pandemic has set us back in plastic pollution, and if you let it go on land, inevitably, one way or another, it will end up in the ocean. And the oceans are the great sort of dumping ground of humanity. And I really worry about all forms of pollution in the ocean.
Yes.
Most of it we can't see, but plastic is the bit we can see. And it's an indicator. And we're finding it up in the high Arctic now this summer as we're filming up there.
Yeah.
We're finding huge amounts of plastic up there. It really is everywhere in the oceans. And so I think...
And the Arctic, sorry to interrupt, but there was this peak of temperature recent that was scary. And remember there was this, the temperature raised above 30 degrees.
Yeah.
I read about it. It's crazy.
It's getting warm. So yeah,
But
that's one
waste,
thing. That's a small thing, but you can do that every day, one way or another.
Exactly.
You can do that every day. Just by doing that, if you manage your waste well, you should feel good about that.
Yeah.
So that's one small thing.
That's one thing. Yeah. Ricardo, your thing, most important thing, advice for action, things that you can change around you in your neighborhood, not what you do, advice for people like me to do.
I think we have to think more what we can do for the planet, what we can do for the other people, and stop thinking about what the life can do for us, what we can receive for the life.
Very good.
And when you think in that way, all the possibilities is gonna open for you, and life is gonna transform, and you're gonna be a happy person, and even the money gonna follow from the sky for your pocket.
Yeah.
That is my advice.
Yeah. No, I think this was brilliant. And definitely we'll be accompanying these two and our other artists that we followed. I advise you all, that's my advice, to Google them, because we don't have the links here, but Google them. They appear top. You can see their films. Netflix is already visible. You can see Ricardo Gomes films, Nuno Sá, Daniel Oliveira. They're all brilliant. They're doing a terrific job, changing the minds and hearts of everyone, both in Portugal and abroad. Thank you so much. Please, a big round of applause for our speakers. And thank you for everyone for organizing this, and also, the supporters, the fundraisers and all that, which I don't have the name here, but I'm sure Christina will excuse me. Thank you so much to all for coming.